There are two ways, as Mr. Piper said. You either have a victory or you negotiate a settlement. And it was obvious to many of us that there was no prospect of a military solution to the problem of our engagement in Ireland, and there had to be negotiation. And when I came back from that meeting in 1983, and I said, the IRA is prepared to negotiate a peaceful solution to Northern Ireland. The tragedy is we had to wait from 1983 to 1997 before we had a government prepared to engage and prepared to take the risk. And a thousand British citizens died in that gap because of the refusal to actually recognise reality. And I say now, there will be no victory in a clash of civilisations. There will just be casualties in the tens or the hundreds of millions. And I don't for 1 minute think that we should be in a position where Daniel has to defend the policies of the American government. That would be a cruel and unnatural punishment for anyone. But let me end by making one point. When did all this start? It has its origins back so far. Somebody touched on Churchill. We had Arab nationalists fighting by the side of America and Britain and France in the First World War. And we promised them an Arab nation, free and self-governing. And we betrayed them. And we intervened. And we set up puppet regimes. And we went back and intervened when they failed. And Daniel's absolutely right. You have to be mad to actually think invading Iraq is going to end up bringing the price of oil down. But unfortunately, the people in the White House were mad. And they believed their own arrogant misperception of Muslims. They thought, we will send 150,000 troops, they will collapse, we will set it all up, and then we will 150,000 troops, they will collapse, we will set it all up, and then we will go. Their arrogance and their Islamophobia and their contempt for other races led them to underestimate. An Arab will fight to defend his country every bit as much as a young American will fight to defend theirs. And we have to see a world coming in which we do not intervene in order to shore up oil. Well, the debate now takes a 30-year oil contract in place before we all leave. Well, I wouldn't give that 10 minutes once the Iraqis finally get control of their own country back again. And so let's be honest about the cause of this long series of wars and terrorist incidents. We've been interfering in other people's countries for too long, not just in the Arab world, but in Latin America. And because as you know, I have good fortune to live in a city where there's a vast diversity of faith, and I don't have one of them myself. I've been an atheist since I was 11. And I am appalled at theocratic states. I'm appalled at the influence rabbis have in Israel and that imams have in Iran. But that's got to be an issue resolved internally there. And how might Iran be different today if America hadn't intervened to overthrow the nationalist government in 1953 and set in process this change? I would simply say to American or British politicians who think they can intervene in the world and create a more favourable situation, look at the track record of the last century and recognise it never works.
Patience but didn't have their questions heard. I hope during the course of this long day's events they will be heard. And let's hope that some of my colleagues in the press don't just see the headline as Ken comes out against cannibalism. Thank you all very much.